introduction.
It was some time ago. I was sitting on the floor as I often did, watching Disney Plus content playing Animal Crossing New Horizons. It had only come out a little over a month earlier, so I was playing it every day at that point. There wasn't much else to do. It was walk on the treadmill, watch Disney Plus, and play Animal Crossing. Mainly those three. I only got TikTok the next month. It was at this point, while I was scrolling through Disney Plus content, I found a film called Country Bears. It was strange. Feature film length. Came out in 2002, and starring some big name actors. And yet I had never heard of it. Never heard anyone else speak of it. And these bears eluded me. It was this awkward phase of Disney films where they tried turning their theme park attractions into movies, to varying successes. They had The Haunted Mansion, which failed drastically, and Pirates of the Caribbean, which spawned a massive franchise. So I turned it on, and I was enchanted. Which is another good Disney film that I saw a few months later. It had James Marsden. This is The Country Bears.
The story. The film begins with this found footage of a Country Bear concert. We get introduced to the Bears and their names in the Silliest Police lineup, and it's shown that this was all part of a documentary about the Bears' success, featuring American country singer Willie Nelson.
I would like to discuss the bear suits now, because if I don't, who will? I will bear this cross.
For one, they're kind of a technical marvel. The animatronic costumes can really emote and move. The bears are in fact playing. There's no CGI. CGI wouldn't work in a film like this. The bears also look kind of weird, but in a charming way. These costumes were clearly designed knowing that if they looked too real or too fake, it would be too boring. And if it looked too silly or too serious, it would be too scary for children. These things weirdly struck a good balance between what they needed and in what amounts. But they still look weird. Some shots just look off-putting if you stare at them too long. Most of the characters look like they were hit with a pen before shooting, although I kind of like that. Oh, they look weird.
Did you want the Country Bears to look normal?
These costumes actually have the same feeling as the movie, which is that the entire film is stupid, and it knows it's stupid, but it doesn't look down on itself. It's not mean about its premise. The whole movie gives you a coy wink and says, we know what we are, and that doesn't make us above it, so we're gonna have some fun. A lot of the acting is silly and fun, but not bad. Kevin Michael Richardson, who's a great voice actor, plays Henry, and while his performance isn't going for an Oscar, he's clearly trying and doing a good job.
Place would be packed. People sitting everywhere, even up in the rafters. You know, sometimes I climb up there just to hear the notes.
It's real children's play acting. No one's going to put this on their resume later in life, but that doesn't mean no one's forbidden from having fun.
Also, the costumes lead to some really funny images, especially when they came to the film's premiere. This is Barry, a young boy played by 90s star Haley Joel Osment and famous for roles like Sora in Kingdom Hearts.
I think now we know the sole reason why the Country Bears are not in Kingdom Hearts.
Barry's a big fan of the Country Bears, but he doesn't fit in at home, and is starting to have suspicions that he's adopted.
Mom, am I adopted?
His family comforts him through his doubts and reassures him that he is in fact the favorite child. We know this because Dex, Barry's brother, just gets abused repeatedly throughout the scene.
Even if you were adopted, we would love you as much as we love Dexter.
Maybe more.
Out of sympathy and a desire to see him win, he's my favorite character. But the actor playing him, Ellie Marienthal, is also pretty funny even when the lines aren't great.
Did you know the Bears made the only country song ever to be recorded in Polish?
Wow, really? And did you know that nobody cares?
Barry's father, who never gets named, doesn't matter, reassures him and says that it's okay to feel different and what's important in life is that we follow our higher purpose.
Those differences always lead us to our higher purpose.
Higher purpose?
It's in this moment we realize that Barry is in a cult. Later on that night, Barry and Dex have a talk about why Barry is so different. This film may have a hidden message about orphans or foster homes or adoptions, but I'm glad it is hidden because I don't know if this should be the film that covers it. It seems Dex is the only person who realizes that Barry is a bear. This never has a payoff.
Great TV and TikTok creator Dan Poffenmeyer once said that he often included jokes into his show Phineas and Ferb that weren't really jokes, they were just one-liners that amused him. This stuck with me, and one of the reasons why is because I feel like that is the exact sense of humor that this film has. A good example of this, Dex is the only person who brings attention to the fact that Barry is a bear. Never gets a payoff, just there.
Barry decides to run away from home, leaving behind a letter with some unexplained claw marks and better penmanship than me, and go to Country Bear Hall, thinking to be the place where he can fit in. Once he reaches Country Bear Hall, we meet Reed Thimble, played by Christopher Walken, giving it everything. Reed is a greedy banker who can't wait to see Country Bear Hall destroyed in a few days, and is stopped by the gloat in the faces of Henry, who provides tours, and Big Al, who takes care of the grass.
This is, and I say this with complete sincerity, a great performance.
Christopher Walken manages to give Reed this crazed, hate-filled spirit that emanates off of him in every scene.
Do you like the sound of crunching wood? I do.
He is by far the loudest character. He chews up every line and spits it back out at you, but not without purpose and not as if he isn't trying.
I think there's a part in him that is finding it more comfortable to act alongside these bears than any human counterpart. He respects these bears. Just look at this shot. He is listening to what Big Al has to say. Not to mention this is one of my favorite shots in any movie. And then when he's surprised by something he hears, we watch him digest the information. I, with no sense of humor, believe this is an incredible performance. So Barry takes Henry's tour and finds out that in order to save Country Bear Hall, they would need to raise a large sum of money, likely through a concert. He decides that this is his higher purpose in life.
If I found out that my higher purpose in life, likely decided by a higher being that does exist, is to save the country bears, I would be mildly upset.
Henry hates this idea though, and we get the scene of Kevin Michael Richardson showing off his talent for acting when no one expected him to.
I said stop! It's over.
But is convinced to do it by hearing Barry perform one of their songs, and Big Al.
Let's face it. In a week from now, some teenager's gonna be teaching us how to operate a deep fryer.
We could do that.
So they get out the Country Bear tour bus that has a character inside I forgot the name of with a chicken. That is the joke, and he is a returning character. Enjoy. So the objective of the film is to get the band back together in a road trip and raise the money needed to save their concert hall with a big show. Interesting. But back at home, Barry's parents contacted the police and now are looking for him. These cops are pretty amusing, and it's nice seeing Dex squabble with him.
Here now you're an honorary deputy.
I'm sure all the kids on the playground will be really impressed.
Yeah, well, don't arrest anybody.
We also see Dex and his Lydia Dietark.
I'm gonna go to my room now, and I'm gonna stay there till I'm 18.
That joke is for someone else, I don't know who, but I've just always been more of a fan of the Beetlejuice movie than the Beetlejuice musical. That's for another video. Their first stop in this road trip is to a studio recording a music video where the former band member Ted Betterhead currently works.
An important thing to know is that this film has a few musical sequences, some of them without the bears at all. Those are the worst ones.
They're not funny and not great songs by themselves, and two of them include celebrities that are no longer relevant. With that in mind, Ted is back in the band and he kept up with the other band members, so he knows where to find them. Henry also comes to the realization that they need more help in advertising the concert, so he calls up Rip Holland, the Bears' former agent. He says that he can just about fit the job into his busy schedule.
I am so back, baby!
This is the last time I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna have to leave the store.
Yeah, right, like I need you.
Also, have you noticed the world building in this film? Throughout the runtime, there are several scenes with bears walking in the background, unrelated to the plot.
Barry and Fred also discuss an army musician who went up against the band in a music competition and was a bad loser.
This won't come back, they said, coyly.
Their next stop is to get Zeb Zuber from a bar.
By the way, I've been periodically watching this movie for years, and I have never noticed that the voice of Zeb Zuber is actually Stephen Root, who you may know from shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Gravity Falls, and the Emmy Award-winning series.
Also, there's this scene of...
Fred? Is that you?
And I think it would have been funny if he said, Fred? Henry? Some child? Unfortunately, Zeb's an alcoholic and has made a few enemies that he owes a lot of money to, which gives Barry the idea to come up with a deal. If you don't forgive that son of a bitch of his debt, I swear to God I will rip off your jaw and punch it into your forehead like a stapler, with your teeth being the staples. You have 5 minutes before I send the whole place flying open, skull first into a fiery abyss, and I'm not even slightly kidding. Okay, so a musical duel is proposed, with Zeb performing against the house band in a pretty good song. He wins and all of his debt is forgiven, which probably made the bar accountant cry. To cut back in with the B and C stories of the film, back at Country Bear Hall, first is Reed coming back to speak with Big Al, and they discuss the news of the concert going on, showing off just how much Christopher Walken is dedicated to this role. Look into those eyes. He cares about what's going on.
We could tell that little weasel banker to Oops.
Tell the weasel what?
He says this with such a passion for acting. And bears.
The cops also come to Big Al, which doesn't lead to much besides more grass talk.
Is that Kentucky Fescue?
The next person the gang needs to find is Tennessee, who has become a marriage counselor who has not gone over his own girlfriend leaving him for a panda. It is just as bizarre as it sounds, but he gets results.
I feel better. He's good.
They go to a diner.
Oh my gosh. You're the Country Bears.
What makes you think that? Which leads to another musical number. You're welcome. But the cops arrive.
Suspicious activity at 2 o'clock.
How could you possibly know that?
There's a news broadcast that brings with it plot and a joke that is so good, I will simply play it now.
In the abduction of this 10-year-old boy. We're all traveling in this bus. We'll keep you updated on Bus Watch.
That is what I'm talking about. He meant it.
So a bus chase begins against the police that doesn't really go anywhere, to be honest, and the cops kind of stop following them around afterwards, so I guess it was all pointless. The gang stops at a hotel where Barry calls home and the band watches an old cartoon made about them, clearly satirizing cheap cartoons made by Hanna-Barbera.
That was bad.
Barry sees a sign, however, and brings Tennessee down to the hotel stage where they find his old flame Trixie. And they decide to sing a duet together that is actually nice, but is nowhere near as good as the moment before it starts.
This next song was written by an old friend of mine in a band called the Country Bears.
Wow. To make that bit even better, that's Jess Harnell, voice of Wacko Warner in the Animaniacs, who did this as a cameo just because he liked the director. So Trixie gets forgiven very quickly, and the journey continues with only one member of the band left, Fred's brother Ted.
We also get this scene of Reed in his office, which I'll play an excerpt of now.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Country Bear has been crushed!
I don't want you to react to that in any way. I don't want you to analyze that in any way. I just want you to know it exists.
They go to Ted's house where they find Elton John.
Listen, Rocket Man. Listen, Rocket Man.
He tells the Bears to go check out the country club for the Bears, so he goes to the Country Bears at the Country Bear Club Bears. It seems Ted has done very well in order to throw a party like this with all of his friends, and after talking to the band, he tells them he's not coming back. But it's revealed it's not his party, and he's just the singer for the band performing there.
I want to die.
Fred then convinces him to come along in a way that really gets through to him.
Then you're going.
They kidnap Ted and tell him that they're doing the show anyways, leading to some actually reasonable questions.
Have you rehearsed? What songs you gonna do? Who's doing sound?
It's always sad when the villain has a point.
Barry remembers something that his dad told him, and then I guess for the first time thinks about his parents being worried about him, in the scene that I believe is the only unintentionally weird part of the film.
My dad.
Hold on, Bear.
Barry goes back home, which brings joy to his parents.
Hi, Dad.
And even Dex thinks he's cool now. Dex unironically goes through an arc in this film. He goes from hating Barry to respecting him to praising and celebrating him. But Barry left behind his bag on the bus. And an essay he wrote about the Bears changes Ted's mind about doing the show. Ted comes to Barry's room to tell them they're doing the show and they want him and his family to come too. But Reed Thimple kidnaps the Bears off screen and steals the tour bus in this edit that had to have been a joke. So Ted, Barry, and now Barry's family are off to save the Bears. But a twist is revealed. Reed Thimple, who is still given so much life through Christopher Walken's dedication to the craft,
You ruined my life!
Well, it's not our fault you became a banker.
was actually the armed musician who lost to the Country Bears years ago and has since devoted his life to ruining theirs through his job as a banker.
What?
But the gang breaks free and goes off to do the show. This one image here led to all of FNAF. They arrive at Country Bear Hall only to find no one there. Another twist is tragically broken to us that Rip was paid off by Reed to not promote the show.
Shut up.
Tensions are flying, but apparently Big Al just told everyone to wait in the back quietly. Reed is taken away.
I would like to thank everyone involved in making that.
And the concert begins with Barry now having found his place and higher purpose as a member of the Country Bears.
Who's that little bear?
Oh, that's no little bear. That's my brother.
You You are the unsung hero of the film industry. The end. Why has Country Bears been forgotten and lost to time?
So why does no one ever speak of this film? I believe it's because it never found its audience. It happened. Something had to find its right demographic while it's still relevant, and it thus fades it away to time. Look at Sam and Max. Their show was cancelled after one season, but now they've found their audience. If you would be interested in the childish and simple, but also funny and even strange comedy about talking bears, this film might be for you. It also might not be. You might like it, you might not like it. I doubt it's gonna hurt. If it does, I'm sorry. But to everyone viewing this, all I have to say is, give it a shot. You might like it.
Part 4. Why is this movie failed when the Muppets succeeded, considering that they have the same plot but one came out 9 years earlier? Muppets fans, where are you? This is exactly what you'd be into.